Hello guys, welcome to the next tutorial of Angular series on this YouTube channel Jack of JavaScript. So in this tutorial we are going to see how two-way data binding takes place. In last lecture we have seen how the event binding takes place, means you can directly bind the events from your HTML pages to your controller, right? So so moving forward with that, so this is your HTML, this is your HTML page, so it renders this view, right? So this is the first name, then there is a input placeholder, right? So whatever you type in this input placeholder, we can access it using this input change event, right? This is what inbuilt input event, right? It calls this function get value, and it sends a dollar event, which is a JavaScript object, which is a DOM object. You can send it to this function get value, right? So this get value is defined here, and you can access the value using that event.target.value, right? The object event holds a target and then it has a value by a property. You can get your value of input placeholder in that, right? So this is how basically one-way data binding takes place, right? User enters something, right? And you can hold that in your controller, right? Your component consists of HTML file which renders the view, and then there is a controller, right? It consists of a TS file. This TS controls your views HTML, right? So this is how one-way data binding takes place. Now we'll see how two-way data binding takes place. So whatever you see here, right, if it holds value, right, which are set from the backend or from the controller, we'll see that example how, let's say this is basically, this comes with a blank value, right? If you want to set some value by default in this placeholder, so you have to do a two-way data binding, which is possible using Angular. For that reason you have to add a forms module, which is an inbuilt library from the Angular libraries, Angular core libraries. Out of that, basically it's not from the core, it is from the forms module, right? So you have to import forms module from this @angular/forms, and this you have to import the instance of this into your imports array, right? So that it will allow you to perform the two-way data binding. So this is the first step. You have to add this forms module in your app.module, right? After that you can go to your HTML, right? So basically this is how the basic input placeholder. Instead of this, you can directly have, let's say this is my email, and email is basically, let's say it holds a text value as of now, right? And then the name of the field is email, and then instead of this input event we can have a ng model, which is a built-in directive of Angular, and it is into this kind of notation, and it is called as banana case. So it has first round braces and then square braces, right? And it holds the variable. Let's say we have a variable name is email, right? So this is your email, and then there is, similarly we have a contact. Let's say contact also is a type of text. It should be of number, but as of now we'll keep it as text. The name of the field is contact, and it holds a contact variable, right? So these variables should be defined in your controller, so that you can means you can directly place the values from the controller, right? Email and contact. So these are the two variables, and if you want to, okay, right, so if you want some default values, let's say abc@gmail, this is the value that should be reflected by default in your HTML, right? Let's say this is what contact, right? If you want this to be shown by default in your HTML, right, and you can directly print it in HR tag. Let's say, okay, sorry, we'll put HR tag, and after that we'll print the email, then there is a space, and then contact. Okay, so likewise the page will render. Okay, so once it is rendered, this is how I'll put HR tag for separation, right? So for first name, it is with the one-way data binding, right? And the name is James, right? So it works with the previous way of event binding, right? And now you can see that email, this value is set by default here, and it is set from the backend, uh, or backend in the sense it is set from your controller, right? So in the app component.ts you have email and contact fields, and you have set the values, right? You can directly change the values from the control, from your view part, right? Let's say abc, I've changed it as abc, right? And it gets reflected directly on your web page, right? So this is how two-way data binding takes place. So you can set the values from your HTML, that is from your view, as well as you can set the values from the controller side, right? Once you refresh this page, it gets the default values, right? So two ways basically, you can uh, set the values from your HTML and also from your controller, right? But in case of one way, you have to set the value from your HTML, that is your view part only, right? So this is how the one-way binding and two-way binding takes place. So two-way binding is basically one of the main features of Angular. It allows the two-way flow of data, but in case of React.js, it allows only one-way flow, that is unidirectional. You cannot set the values from the controller side. So that is for React.js, but in case of Angular you can set the values from controller side, and also you can do the one-way data binding, right? So these are the steps. The first step is you have to add this forms module, right? And then the instance of forms module in your imports array, right? Then you can directly go to the HTML. In that you should have this ng model with the banana case, and it should hold a variable. The respective variable should be declared in your controller, right? And then you can change those variable values accordingly. All right, so this is how two-way data binding takes place. So thank you so much. This is Jack of JavaScript for you. Keep learning. Thank you.